WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello. It is Monday at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Welcome to Stellar Award winning radio station WVTC Radio Detroit. We are so happy to have you with us this afternoon. It's Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all of those veterans in the hearing of my voice. And happy Veterans Day to their families too, because if you know there's a veteran, there's a family somewhere behind that veteran that's helping them do whatever it is they're able to do. And so we are just thrilled to be able to say Happy Veterans Day. We started the morning off with a raising of the flag at the City County building. There's something they've created called the Veterans Plaza. And on every birth date of each one of our military divisions, departments, they're going to tell me which what I'm if I'm saying that right. I know Brian will tell me. Um, they have a flag raising ceremony. And so this morning, in honor of Veterans Day and the Marines, whose birthday was yesterday, the flag raising ceremony took place in front of the City County building, the Coleman A. Young building on Woodward Avenue at Jefferson. It was a great event. Young people who are cadets, ROTC cadets from River Rouge High School were there to do the ceremony. And it was a very, very nice event this morning. And so we're just pleased to have been a part of that. And one of our guests this morning was the guest speaker. And that young man is Mr. Brian Love. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Ma Bell, how you doing?
Hi there. I know you're on your way back from Kalamazoo, is it?
Yes, ma'am. I am at a state of
Have
Michigan.
your volume turned down. You're talking, but I can't hear you. So turn your volume up some.
Can you hear
Okay.
me now?
I can hear you now. Very good.
Okay.
Welcome to the Community Bell Show. We're glad that you were able to do this. Thank you so much for adjusting your schedule. I know this has been a really, really busy day for you. I was with you at 8 o'clock this morning, and I know you left the city county building and went to all sorts of places doing what you do. Brian Love, welcome to the Community Bell Show on WVTC Radio Detroit. We are pleased to have you with us. And since it's Veterans Day, I wanted to have the young man who is the director of the State of Michigan Veterans Affairs Department on to talk about what you do and what that department is responsible for here in Michigan. So introduce yourself, Brian.
Sure, Ma Bell. So, hello, everyone. My name's Brian L. Love, proud Detroiter, born and raised, graduate Murray Wright High School. Got to show that Murray Wright love. I know you're a CT mom, Ma Bell, but Murray
Yeah.
Wright for life.
Well, it's
But
PPS mom. How about that?
that's right. That's because you were at my graduation.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. Yeah, you were all the babies' graduations when we were graduating
Yes.
high school and you were on the school board. That's the kind of person you are, and you're still that community leader. So I truly appreciate you. So for your guests, I'm Brian Love, your director of the Michigan Veteran Affairs Agency. Governor Whitmer appointed me to this position literally a year ago. It's definitely been the job of a lifetime for me, not just because I get to really work and support and empower over 500,000 of Michigan's veterans, but as a veteran myself who struggled with transition and adapting from military to civilian life, particularly because I didn't even realize it for 10 years after I got out the Marines. It's been a very interesting experience. It's been just as helpful for me as I hope I've been for the many veterans I've got a chance to work with over the last year.
Absolutely. How many veterans are there in Michigan?
There are over 516,000 veterans in the state of Michigan. We rank about, I want to say, 12th in the nation as far as veteran population. Many of our veterans are probably a good part of them are Vietnam War era veterans. But the number, because as you know, our World War II population and our Korean War population are both moving on to better pastures, as I'll put it.
Yeah.
But we're also working with and identifying our newer veterans who joined when I did, and all the way up to today.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Um, what kind of benefits do these veterans receive from the state? What kind of things can you help them with?
So a lot of what we do at our state on the state level, and then I'll talk about the federal level.
Mhm.
So with NVAA, which we like to call ourselves the Michigan Veteran Affairs Agency, NVAA supports veterans through state, engaging them and getting them some of their state resources. For instance, every state department in the state of Michigan has some form of veteran liaison where we're able to work with each of those state departments to connect services, discounted or free services that the state of Michigan provides and get it connected to those veterans. So, for instance, there's certain medical or health care supports, particularly with counseling, that veterans can get that can also augment or supplement what they get from the federal VA. Also, just fresh off the presses, things like free or discounted fares to get into Michigan state parks, which we're working on right now. That's coming very soon. But what just happened, hot off the presses, is Governor Gretchen Whitmer just signed this past Friday afternoon a law creating license plates for our women veterans within the state of Michigan. So starting in 20 next year in 2025, our women veterans can get their own specific license plates for them, so they don't have to worry about, say, for instance, if woman vet pulls into a parking lot and a male veteran may walk by. And I've heard this story many times. I've never done it, but I've heard that a male veteran will walk up to that female veteran and say, "Oh, I see your plate that says you're in the Marines or the Army, whatever branch. Oh, is your husband a vet?" So you automatically assume that she is not, and that is not that is that's actually somewhat disrespectful. So
Yeah,
what we're working to do is to make it easier for folks to identify our women veterans, because we got to do a better job of supporting them. And I can tell you, many of the veteran organizations, besides my agency, all of the state of Michigan departments, fully supporting our women veterans. As a matter of fact, the NASDVA conference, which is the National Association of State Department of VAs. So basically, this is the association that houses me and all of my counterparts across all 50 states and 5 territories in our nation. And in our last conference, it was brought up, and we said, and it wasn't the women. The women vets are definitely part of those conversations, and many of them are actually some of my counterparts. But we had the male veterans stand up and say, we got to do a better job to support our sisters in our veteran community.
that is so special because, as you know, I belong to another group called Women's Resource Veterans Resource Center that was established by Patricia Cole out of our women's informal network. And what we do is try to help female veterans with resources that they just don't know about. And in particular, housing has been a major issue for
Oh,
our
definitely.
female uh, veterans. Can you talk about that a little bit in housing?
Yep. So one of the two of our we have several top targets, but two of our top targets is veteran suicide prevention, but also to the topic you're talking about with homelessness. So veteran homelessness is still an issue for veterans, but particularly for women veterans. And why is that? So right now we're tracking that numbers among male veterans are going down, but numbers of women veterans are going up. And as you know, 9 times out of 10, when you have a homeless woman veteran, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have children with them. So
Yes.
finding housing just for a homeless veteran is difficult, but also providing safe home and safe space for women and their children can be very problematic because there's not enough housing to support it. So we are working at our agency. We provided under our new mental health division, which supports homelessness and reducing the homeless numbers for veterans. We have a homelessness grant system, where nonprofits, organizations can apply to get funding to support reducing homelessness among our veterans by providing some type of shelter or support for those veterans.
Oh, that is wonderful because that is just so important. Again, I go back to female veterans because they unfortunately hit the brunt of a lot of this homelessness with them and their children, finding a safe place for them and their children to stay. But the other part of that is finding employment after they are out of the military. Do you assist
Mhm.
female veterans with that? And all
Yeah,
veterans?
we assist all veterans, particularly. There's an initiative that actually I got to do a better job of promoting. So just before was appointed to this position, the state of Michigan granted that if you are a veteran and have served at least 2 years at the rank of E6 or higher, which for those who have not served in the military, E6 or higher tends to be staff non-commissioned officer ranks. So that would be, if you were in the Marines or the Army, that's staff sergeant or sergeant first class and higher, up to
Okay.
sergeant major. They're different across the board, but the caveat is E6 or higher. And so if you've served in that role for at least 2 years for federal service, you qualify to apply for a number of physicians with the state of Michigan without needing a bachelor's degree.
Oh,
And we are the only state in the union that does this.
excellent. Excellent. Because I'm sure the assumption is if you've been in the military and served at that level, you obviously have some skill sets that are going to be necessary that qualify you for those positions. That makes sense. So you're going to have to
I
work
would
on getting those
agree.
other states. You're going to have to work on getting those other folks to do that too.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
That is absolutely wonderful. Um, each county has a veterans department. Is that not true? Or most
Not
counties?
most counties, Michigan, as you know, Michigan has 83 counties. Every county does not have a county VA, but those that don't tend to get supported or some help with by their neighboring county VA, also in conjunction with support from NVAA.
Okay, great. Now I know in Wayne County, in their veterans department, they are able to supply dollars for veterans who are having difficulties, let's say paying rent or buying food and those kinds of things. Uh,
hmm
does that go on in the other counties? Do you know? And does the state do any of that?
Yeah, so just about every county agency VA does that. What we do at the state level, we actually through our county VA service program, we actually are some of the major funders for those counties to be able to provide that service to their county residents.
Okay. And can you talk about some of the things that they do? Because I don't think our listeners and the general public, and sometimes veterans don't even know that they can apply for grants to help them with rent and food and so on, and
Yeah,
utilities.
so yep, particularly with the Wayne County VA, we have a great partnership with Wayne County, particularly not just with NVAA, but within my agency, there is a what we call the Michigan Trust Fund. The trust fund is actually many years older than my agency. The Michigan Trust Fund was founded after World War II to support combat veterans and their families with hardships, and helping them with emergent needs. That definition has changed and we broadened it over the years. And so a lot of times, and I know we do this quite a bit with Wayne County, we partner with them in getting veterans and supporting them in their emergent needs. So for instance, a Wayne County citizen may reach out to Wayne County VA to ask for help or support at the county level, but may also qualify for state emergent needs support at the state level. And then they would reach out to the Michigan Veterans Trust Fund. And many of these counties tend to refer people to us.
Oh, wonderful. And I just want you to say that because if the veterans who are listening and their family members, sometimes they don't know what's available to them. And they
hmm
go lacking because they just don't know because they don't have the information to get what they deserve and what they need to make their lives just a little bit better. And so that's important that we share that information with all of our veterans and their families who are watching today. How many branches of the military are there? Are there seven?
So they got United States Marine Corps. Well, I'm gonna lead with that one first. Then
Yes.
United States Army, United States Air Force, United States Navy, United States Coast Guard, United States Space Force. So six, unless I'm
Six. So,
forgetting somebody. Yeah.
okay.
And I
And those,
have found somebody. You probably get a question from one of your listeners. I've never met anybody in the U.S. Space Force. There's no U.S. There is a United States Space Force, and actually, my agency just signed up a veteran who just came out of the U.S. Space Force as a
really,
veteran who's that's getting their benefits at the state as well as the federal level with the VA.
the U.S. Space Corps. Isn't that interesting? Wow.
It is
And
very interesting.
I do know that yesterday was the birthday of the Marines. Is that correct?
Yeah, you got that right, man. Yes, ma'am.
And I know of one particular unit of the Marines. Of what is it? Mount
Oh, Montford Point Marine Corps League.
Mumford Point Marine Corps. Yes, yes,
Yep,
yes. They are
yep.
located in over on Joy Road. And they are just a wonderful group of folk that I've known for many, many years. But the neat part about that is Brian is a member of that group, aren't you, Brian?
Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, Montford Point Marine Corps League Detachment number 158 is located on Joy Road, just west of Schaefer, and literally down the street from where I grew up, which makes it
Yeah.
even better. But not only am I a member, father, stepfather, two uncles, a couple of cousins, and then on our auxiliary side, that's so
This is
important
the best
to
part.
the support of the
Talk
Marine Corps
about this.
League
This
and the
is what I'm
Marines.
excited. I'm excited about this part. Tell them
Yep.
who just
Oh,
became
the
the
auxiliary.
auxiliary president.
Yeah, so my wife, Lonita Love, is the detachment auxiliary president. Also, my mother is the treasurer. My daughter has a position there. My aunt Taryn is also a member. And I think we're recruiting my sister-in-law. She doesn't know that yet, so please no one tell her. But we're about to draft her. And then but it's just great. You know, like a third of the members are my family. And
Isn't that
that's really what has sustained me as a not just as a veteran, but when I served in the Marines, support from my family.
wow? But I just wanted to make sure we mentioned Onita as the president, and she was just voted in and inaugurated as president about a week ago. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Go
As a
let
matter of fact, what she doesn't talk about enough, she is all before that election, she was also elected as the junior vice president of the state of Michigan Marine Corps League Auxiliary. So she's the
wow.
number 3 person in the state of Michigan for the Marine Corps League Auxiliary.
Wow, that is so wonderful. We're so proud of her, proud of you, proud of the whole family. And what
Thank you.
listeners need to know and watchers is that I've known Brian since he was a young fella, a young
Eighth
fella,
grade.
11th,
Easy. Eighth
eighth
grade.
grade. And so he has
Yes,
just
ma'am.
blossomed, and I'm just really, really proud of all the service he provides to the community. Even before he was director of Veterans Affairs, he was involved in education and making sure that young people got what they needed to be successful in life. And so he's been doing a lot with our young people in our entire community. So he continues to do that. And we're just really, really very, very proud of him. I've got a listener who wants to know what the Space Force is.
Okay. I will try to explain that as quick as I
Okay.
can. So, United States Space, because it's out my wheelhouse. So, United
Okay.
States Space Force was formed, I want to say, during the Trump administration. I'm pretty sure it was the Trump administration. And so, the United States Space Force is a combination of most of our already established military branches to prepare to defend the United States literally in space, in orbit, and beyond.
All righty. Thank you very much for that. Okay. United States Space Force. And the listener says thank you very much because they I know
You're
a
absolutely
lot of people have not heard of that. And so I'm glad you were able to at least share with them what that really is. Talk about veterans throughout the state of Michigan and the kinds of things that they're involved in.
So one of the things I've learned in this role is and that's because I've literally have driven all over the state and meeting and talking to veterans, and it always amazes me how similar veterans are to each other. I don't care what race you are, what gender you are, what community you come from. Most veterans think very similarly because we've all sworn an oath to defend this nation against enemies, foreign and domestic. And through that and the training that we received and the commitment and the service, most of us, when we come home, we tend to keep on providing service and leadership within our communities. So many of your top teachers, many of your top workers in any field that you can name, I guarantee many of them are veterans, and they've taken the training, duty, and service that they got in the military, and they've applied it to their personal lives as community leaders.
And I think that's special because when we look at our young people, and the young people were there today during the raising of the flag from River Rouge High School. And those young people did an excellent job. And director, their leader, talked about that they don't recruit, what they do is train. And the young people decide if, in fact, they want to be a part of the ROTC. But once they are, their job is to train them. And I'll grab myself a Bible verse, train them up in the way they should go. And when they are not old, they will not depart. When they're old, they will not depart from it. And that's what we have to do more of. Train them
Yes,
up and
ma'am.
they should go. So there's a lot of training necessary for some of our young people, and we have
Mhm.
to continue to figure out how to do that.
I
How
know
do we
that's
do
right.
in terms of the Veterans Department? Do you do anything with the school system?
So, that's a great question. What I've found coming on board is, so I have some great partners over the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs. And you wonder, what is that? So, my agency, the NVAA, the veteran component of my agency, and also the state veteran homes of Michigan, both our agencies fall within the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, which is managed by Major General Paul Rogers, who's the
Mhm.
commander of the Michigan National Guard. So that's how our state is set up. So I get to work very closely with the Michigan Guard, who's working really closely to work with our junior ROTC, but are expanding past the JROTC classes and working with students across the state, period. One of the things, to the point you just made, is literally what we've talked about, discussed, and are really looking to engage our young people in understanding what community and military service is about.
Excellent. And as you say, once they are out of the military, they become really involved citizens in all walks of life and always do a fantastic job. And so we're just real proud of the training they get so that when they come back home, they can continue to serve. There's a group were with us this morning at the flag raising, the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes, ma'am.
And the Tuskegee Airmen, for those of you who don't know in the listening audience, a group of African American fighter pilots during World War II who were not allowed to fly with the regular flyboys. They had to have their own group of flyers. Coleman A. Young, who was the mayor of Detroit, was one of the Tuskegee Airmen. One of my high school teachers, Richard Macon, was a Tuskegee Airman. But that group of men are, as they were World War II participants, as Brian said, they're rapidly leaving us simply because they're old. I mean, they many of them are well into their 90s now, but they're still getting around. But if any of you have heard stories about the Tuskegee Airmen or the Red Tails, and if you don't know, my brother is a documentary writer. He produced and directed a video called An Eagle Should Fly that won an Emmy. But it talks about those brave gentlemen who were part of the Tuskegee Airmen and all of their exploits in helping out the flyboys and helping them return safely back to their destination. So that it's a great story for, so if you don't know about them, you need to go and read about the Tuskegee Airmen. We have a Tuskegee Airmen museum here in the Michigan area. It is located down at Fort Wayne. So if you get a chance, go down to Fort Wayne to take a view of the Tuskegee Airmen Museum and learn about those men, because we have many of them who lived in this very city, this very metropolitan area, who did outstanding things in World War II. And we want to continue to give them their props and make sure that their story lives on. Brian, any closing remarks for us this afternoon? Because I know you're on the road, so I promised I wasn't going to keep you a long, long time. I know you're on your way back from Kalamazoo.
I'm sure Lonita Love will appreciate that. So I appreciate it. Just first, I like to say to any Marines on the call, happy belated Marine Corps birthday, and to all veterans and their families, happy Veterans Day. And if you want to find out, or if you want to find out for yourself or for another veteran, if you qualify for any state or federal benefits, please reach out to my agency at 1-800-MISH-VET. That's 1-800-MICH, V as in Victor, ET. and tell them Director Love sent you, and we'll get you answers to your questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brian. Again, thank you so for being with us today. Happy Marine Day and then happy Veterans
Hoorah!
Day. We'll see you next
Thank
time.
you.
Take care. Be safe.
See you soon, my bell.
All righty.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Brian is just a wonderful young man, and it's just so neat to see him as Director of Veterans Affairs for the state of Michigan. Just quite special young man. He and his entire family. So I just wanted to have him on for Veterans Day to have him talk about what goes on with Michigan veterans. Our next guest, it's second Monday, so it must be Real Estate Monday, and we have with us Ken Scott for Real Estate Monday. And there's Ken Scott with Real Estate Monday. And I asked Ken if he could talk about, in particular, programs that veterans can take advantage of that would be advantageous to them in the housing market. Hi, Ken.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Did you hear Brian?
I did.
How about that? You young folks are just doing great things, great things. So, what have you got for us today, real estate person?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to, again, in line with what Brian stated, was Happy Marine Corps birthday, as well as to all the veterans and the families of those veterans and active duty that are just mean the world to the United States as far as keeping us safe around the world, as well as locally. So I want to give them their due. I know a number of Tuskegee airmen that are in the immediate area, and it always gives me solace to think about them and what they've sacrificed over the years. So that's very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The veterans. Speaking of that, when I was with Neighborhood Legal Services as well as COTS, I was a case manager for veteran services for both institutions,
Okay.
and it gave me pride to know that I was working with individuals that had served the United States very well over the years. And as I moved on to being a real estate broker, I sought the designation senior real estate specialist. So that helps those active duty as well as veterans and their families attain home ownership, even rental properties, because they're one of the few populations that can move from home ownership to rental to home ownership and not be penalized because of it, because of the Service Member Act that was enacted years ago that helps them transition wherever their post is in the world, let alone in the United States. So I help them with that as well. So there are a number of programs that are out there. There are a lot of fees that are waived specifically for them.
Oh, that's
Uh,
they want to know about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been discharged, who qualifies? Veterans with 2 years of continuous active duty who were discharged at least under honorable conditions. Veterans with 6 years of service in the selected reserves of National Guard or an honorable discharge. Veterans with a 90 days active duty wartime service and an honorable discharge, and current members of the U.S. Armed Forces. How can I prove eligibility? You have the VA Form 268320, which is the certificate of eligibility for loan guarantee benefits, as well as the VA 2683220A, which is known as certificate of eligibility for loan guarantee benefits for reserves and National Guard. A certificate of eligibility is only a reliable proof of eligibility for the lender. So once you approach that lender and what have you, and you know that you're pursuing home ownership, or spouse or family member is pursuing home ownership, if they can present that, then they become eligible. And that's one of the necessary documents.
Well,
What documents are required? Completion of loan application.
document.
Pardon me?
Where would they get that document?
From the VA administration. And of course, they hopefully know where to contact or who to contact during that process. Completed loan application, of which the application is free. 2 years of W-2s, 30 days of recent pay stubs, and end of the month statements, as well as 60 days of bank statements, which is 2 months of bank statements. So, and then they have a renovation loan as well for those individuals that are um, disabled in any way or handicapped in any way. They have renovation loans that can widen doorways, create what do you
Ramp?
call it? Ramps and what have you, um, improve the quality of the home, lower the cabinet spaces, lower the bathroom spaces, everything that is would make and accommodate the veteran if they were disabled.
Oh,
Yes, so there are a number of entities around the state of Michigan, that provide those services. Uh, the problem, more so than anything else, is just making sure that people are aware of them.
that's the key. That's why I wanted you
Yeah,
on. I think people don't always know the good stuff that's out there for them that they don't have to do anything but fill out a form for.
absolutely, absolutely. The fact that veteran VA loans are probably the least mortgage lender loan that's out there. Um, Kind of hampers the process and what have you, because we like to let them know that it's available to them, but
Mhm.
at the same time, in a lot of cases, they don't use it and they know they have it. So the statistics have shown 80% of them do not use their VA benefits.
Is that right? Wow. And
80%.
is it because they don't know or they just don't use them? Because
A little of both, obviously, because if you knew you could use it and what have you, obviously there, like I stated, there's some benefits to it. In a lot of situations, it's not credit score driven, it's not fee driven, like the other loans that are FHA and conventional or whatever the case may be.
all you
Um,
be a veteran, huh? That's
Pardon me.
all you have to do is be a veteran.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's it.
So, our challenge is to make them aware of it, not only when they need it, but before they need it. So, if it spurred home ownership in our respective communities, we would definitely benefit from that.
Absolutely. And that is for reserves and those who are active duty
Absolutely, and veterans,
and veterans. Wow.
correct.
What and when you talk about loans, is there a percentage of loan that they get, or is there a set amount of money?
Each
How,
institution is different, but at the same time, the uh, the the premise of it is to lessen the fees that are associated with home ownership because of them being veterans.
okay.
So
So
we don't want to make sure that it becomes more affordable for them than others in the population.
is there a certain amount of down payment that they get waived because of being a veteran, or is there
That is it. They don't have to. They don't
they,
have to
they don't have to what?
have a down payment.
They don't have to make a down payment.
Right.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And
Or some of the lender fees are waived totally, 100% waived.
wow. And
No down payment, no monthly mortgage insurance, relaxed credit policies, and VA refinance options with 100% cash out.
really?
Yeah,
And only
if they only knew.
80% of the people don't use it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ken, we've got
Well,
to
well, you got to also understand it's basically the same with our population in general. We don't use it because either we don't know we have it or we haven't prepared to find out what the requirements are in order to take advantage of it.
So we have to go on a speaking tour, Ken, and tell folks about, because that is just, that's just so unfortunate. All the people out here that need homes
Okay.
that could get one.
Not only that, they're in a lot of cases they're renting substandard homes
Yes.
or homes with deferred maintenance, however you want to say it, that
And
don't have the accommodations that they should have.
paying a lot of rent for something that's substandard.
It sounds like our population in general, doesn't it?
Oh wow. Okay, so here we go, Ken. We have to plan this now. We got to plan. We got to plan. We know we do real estate Monday, second Monday, but we got to do something else. People need to get their minds right, as the kids might say, so that they can take advantage of what's theirs.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh wow.
the lack of knowledge is to the point where the numbers equal that of those that are voting.
Oh, is that bad?
That bad.
Because that's bad.
That actually,
Voting.
that's worse.
I wasn't going to talk about voting today. And
Okay. Well, no, I mean, but at the same time, our community has been deprived of various programs through the government, through nonprofits, and what have you, that we have just not seized upon as far as finding out what the advantages are of us taking ownership of it.
Mhm. They haven't seen deprived of what, the wait to see what's coming. They have.
Well, understand this. We have a responsibility to go in our communities and educate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Our population has a responsibility to be receptive to it.
Yes.
Okay. And in a lot of cases, we are not receptive to it, either because of the learning curve or not wanting to know or not being in a position to know.
Or, and then maybe, but I won't blame the victim. I'm going to blame, we're not presenting it in a fashion that they can receive it. Because sometimes it isn't on the person who's supposed to be receiving it, it's on the person who's delivering it. And so we have to find a way to deliver the message in a way that people will understand it and receive it. How about that? You think that might work? I just think
it may.
Look at you.
Yeah, let me say it this way: it will lessen the number.
You're just sitting there. You know?
I believe what I said, the way I said it. Okay, understand it.
Put words in your mouth, huh? You said
absolutely. I deal with this situation every day where people call me regarding programs that are out there and what have you, and either they weren't aware of it, they don't follow through, they don't call back, they run to someone else that wants a quicker answer or what I call a slick presentation, and in doing so, they just, I don't know. I just don't know about it. I mean, understand this. If we were receptive to education, our schools will be full of those individuals that really wanted to know. I do home buying seminars on a regular basis. I can count the individuals on my hand that attend, as opposed to those that are in need of the service and just haven't positioned themselves to do so, or taking the time out of their busy schedule, as they say, to attend it. So we cannot give them an excuse because they've taken full advantage of the excuses. I do home buying seminars, like I said, every month. And if I get 5 to 10 people, is disappointing. Is disappointing, to say the least.
And and I think I've heard you say this before, that you've done this, but there are places where people are who need the services, like barbershops and beauty shops. And seems to me I've heard you say that you've been working with a group of beauticians and barbershop owners. Is that correct?
I had, and they are similar to everyone else. They listen to it, but at the same time, they don't pursue it
Mm.
or don't position themselves to do so. So, my nonprofit, Detroit Home Ownership Center, CDC, in 2025 will be conducting monthly seminars for those individuals that want to pursue financial literacy, renter education, and home buyer education. Um, the good thing is I might be graced with an award of a grant that can assist me with that, and in doing so, target certain communities where I know that the need is there.
Absolutely. And you know
If
what?
the need is there, then I will do more workshops throughout the year. Right now, they're scheduled to do monthly, but
Mm.
at the same time, I've been in the community for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been trying to assist people wherever I can, but at the same time, like I said, our community doesn't always show up when they need to show up to get educated about the process or
Yeah.
position themselves to do so once their process has been met.
Yeah. And I do agree with you. But again, I go back to we've got to find maybe it's non-traditional ways of reaching certain populations that need it. And many of them can afford it. They just don't know how to position themselves to do what they need to do.
But you have to at least inquire about the information.
That's
If you know that you're living in substandard housing or you're paying too much for rent in the house that you're in the neighborhood that you're in, it's not being kept up and what have you, you have to figure out whether you deserve more and better. That can't be taught.
it can't be taught, but you can talk about it to
Oh,
people.
and trust me, I would have laryngitis if I calculated all the times that I told the story.
And I know you're out there telling the story all the time.
Exactly.
And again, maybe we have to find a different way of telling the story. And I know that sounds, just real simple, but um,
Yeah,
we
and my thing is, how many times can you tell a story and you not take heed to the story? If your situation is in a situation that's detrimental to your health, safety, and welfare, and you have to think about your kids as well, how many kids you have, what the house looks like, what accommodations it has, whatever the case may be, and you want better, then you have to make sure that you start positioning yourself for better.
I agree. I agree. I agree. But you know me, I still go back to we've got to find a way to help them know that they need it. They don't know. Some of them don't even know they need it, Ken. And I believe that.
Okay, how are we going to drag them out the house?
I don't know how. I don't know
Are
how.
we going to drag them out the club?
Know how we're going to do that, but we're going to do it. So just stop telling me, are we going to do this? And I've done that. I don't want to hear your objections. You and I are going to do it. So just I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going
Mm,
for frame of we're going to do this. Don't know how we're going to do it.
I don't either.
I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And you're going to help it, and you're going to do it. I know you're looking at me like, oh, really? But yes, we're going to do this, Ken.
Okay, this is 26 years in the business.
I know, and I know, and
Okay.
we're still going to do it. We're still going. They don't know they need us, and we're going to make sure they know they need us. How about that? How about,
All right, I want to hear your plan.
well, it's going to be your plan because you're going to be the one who does it.
I want to hear your
I'm,
plan.
I'm putting you out there, Ken. 'Cause
No.
You the real
Yeah,
estate person.
and don't get me wrong and everything. I'm very positive about my community, but at the same time, I know
You've
that
been
during
there,
the
and I know that's what you're gonna tell me.
during the time that I'm out there, I'm happy to get those 5 to 10 people.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you know anything about sales,
Mhm.
you know there's a thing called the funnel system.
Yes.
Okay, you make it as broad as possible, so you can get that one or two that actually make it through to the destination that they wanted to attain.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, how broad can it be and how level can it be before one drops through? I mean,
And I don't know the answer, but I know,
it's frustrating.
and you talk about it all the time. And we're
It's
gonna do this,
frustrating.
Ken. We're gonna do this. So
All right.
we're gonna leave this today.
Uh-huh.
That we are going to get to those people who don't know they need to be gotten to. They don't know they need to be gotten to, but we're gonna tell them you need us, and we're gonna do this because you don't
When we're gonna start?
house all your life with your children.
When we're gonna start?
I don't know. We're gonna start it though. We're
Okay.
gonna sit down and talk about that. So by the time we get to Real Estate Monday next month, we will have something to tell folks, okay? Because you just started a nonprofit.
No. The nonprofit's been in existence since 1998.
Okay, I don't mean you just started,
Yeah.
just
But
reactivated it, and we're gonna.
no, what we're going to do differently, and like I stated before, we're going to target certain communities where we know that they need it, and going to be more repetitive about it, and create relationships with those neighborhood associations that we promote to, in order to increase home ownership in those respective neighborhoods.
And you know what, Ken? We're gonna knock on doors, just like political campaign. We're gonna knock on some doors.
Well, we better do it soon because it's getting cold.
Well, you know, we have spring coming. So
Oh, okay.
I don't do cold. Cold and snow. So we'll plan.
Well, we're gonna be in the 50s in the next few days, so let's get out there. All right.
Okay, we'll see.
All right, before it becomes 40s and 30s.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
All right.
God, thank you so much, CSW Real Estate, for always sharing with us vital information for our community and our listeners, particularly that information about these veterans. 80% of you veterans are not using your benefits. Get on it. Use benefits.
And not only that, even if the veteran were to die, their family members aren't seizing the moment as well. So they need to take advantage of home ownership as well, because it applies to you. Okay, you can use that veteran's benefit.
No, everybody heard that. We're going to keep telling them that because it's important.
Okay.
Thank you, Ken.
All right, have a great day.
We'll talk before next month, so we'll have something in place to talk about.
All right, we'll have a planning session.
We'll have a plan. All right. Have a
All
great
right, then.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Appreciate you. Okay, everybody. This has been the Community Bell Show on WVTC Radio Detroit, Stellar Award-winning radio station. Thank you for joining us. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.